What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the Wrestling Brothers, your home of everything WWE and more. As always, I am your host, Jonathan Gage, and today, boy, do I have a lot of topics to talk to you guys about. But first, let me introduce you to the other half of the Wrestling Brothers, my friend Jordan.
Welcome everybody, and we got a lot to talk about. It's the Royal Rumble season, and I want to welcome everybody to the first ever episode of the Wrestling Brothers. And we got a lot to talk about.
Indeed we do, especially our first topic, which involves Raw and SmackDown for their battle for brand supremacy. Which brand is better? And I can't think of a better way to do it than compare the Raw and SmackDown. We both have seen each show. We've seen all of it. Now, let's start with talking about Raw. Like, Raw wasn't too bad. Of course, it does have the negative of the third hour. The third hour sometimes does feel like it drags on. Of course, so with that in mind, overall, pretty decent show. Pretty decent main event, won't lie. But I gotta ask you, dude, what's your opinion on what they're doing with Jason Jordan? You know, they're pushing this kid, trying to shove him literally down our throats, and the fans just aren't having any of it. But, like, what's your opinion on that? Jason Jordan.
Jason Jordan, well, listen, we found out back in July that he was Kurt Angle's son. And I feel like Kurt Angle is giving him a lot of opportunities. But every time Jason Jordan loses, he wants the crowd to believe that he can win even more. So I think he's getting maybe too much of an opportunity on Raw. Possibly he could do better on SmackDown. But I don't know. I think Jason Jordan is a great athlete in the ring. He is a former WWE Tag Team Champion. So we'll have to see how he goes. And now he fares in the future with other competitors in that ring.
Indeed. Definitely. Jason Jordan is young talent. He has promising talent. And I like what he did back with American Alpha. But you're looking at him on Raw, and they're pushing him. He's not getting over, and he's never going to get over. So you're looking at him in this specific case where maybe the best option, like you said, is either to send him back to SmackDown to feud maybe with Chad Gable, who is currently a heel. So maybe having that American Alpha rivalry right there. That'd be a good way to boost him as a top babyface. Or just give up the babyface thing in general and just turn him heel. That would be another good option, I would think, too, if you want to keep him on Raw. But definitely, with Jason Jordan being on Raw right now, fans are not having any of it, and neither is Booker T, who we'll go there with our next topic, the announce team for Raw. Michael Cole, obviously a legend for announcing. He's been there probably about as long as Vince McMahon, almost. But of course, when looking at the announce team, you have to look how good is the announce team together. We've talked about the SmackDown announce team being very good together, working really well. You got Byron, who is literally a kiss-ass babyface. You have Corey, who's a literally kiss-ass heel. And you have Tom, who's in the middle and doesn't really talk much. A good balance of an announce team. Although, I gotta ask you, Jordan, what's your opinion on the Raw announce team? Do you think that maybe having Michael Cole and Booker T go back and forth so much with being heels and faces, do you think that hurts the overall product, or do you think that overall benefits Raw?
I think that benefits Raw, but I think having Corey Graves on both shows, I don't know. I think he should only be on one. And that would be SmackDown. I like him better on SmackDown than Raw.
Corey Graves does an amazing job on SmackDown. But since you are going to put him on SmackDown, or since you would put him on SmackDown, tell me, who would you replace him with on Raw?
Great question. I would maybe bring back Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler was an amazing heel. He was also an amazing babyface. Honestly,
Yep.
I would like to see Booker T become a heel. I like to see him become the top heel and then have Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler be the top faces again. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
now moving in from Raw and also to SmackDown, let's talk a little bit about Beauty and the Man Beast, Heath Slater and Rhino. You're looking at two guys who have flourished so greatly on SmackDown, tag team champions. They had a great win under their belt. They were one of the most unstoppable tag teams, and then they moved to Raw in the Superstar Shakeup and haven't gotten a single win. Like, do you think that WWE has a problem with that? Like, seeing these great tag teams on SmackDown, then pulling them to Raw and making them a joke? Is that a problem WWE has nowadays?
I would totally think so. They have a problem with that. Heath Slater and Rhino looked a lot better on SmackDown because they were getting that opportunity. They were getting wins, and now they're just losing to everybody. They're hardly promoted. I forgot they were even on Raw until Samoa Joe and Heath were facing, Rhino and Heath Slater were facing Samoa Joe. I just totally forgot they were on Raw.
It is a shame that they do so much like that with their talent. But again, when you're looking at guys like that, two guys who really flourished on SmackDown and then becoming a complete laughingstock, yet Jason Jordan they're trying to push as one of the top guys. Of course, Roman Reigns will always be pushed more than Jordan. He's supposed to be the top guy, or in his words, the guy. But I think that's a problem with Raw. And, I guess that sort of leads into our next topic. Raw calls himself the flagship show. But yet, what does flagship show mean to them? So far, from what I'm seeing, it looks like it means push the same talent, push older talent, and leave all these new guys to just be fed to these bigger and stronger and older talents. For example, Roman Reigns, the guy since 2012 with the Shield, and of course the rest of the Shield too. They've been there a while compared to like all these new guys that are there. You can even see it with the women too, like Paige having one of the most dominant factions. She's been there longer than most of those other girls there. And then of course the rest of Absolution, which by the way I feel like they could have came up with a better name too, other than just Absolution, and the Riot Squad too, I guess. But they hasn't really been creative with names as of recently. But, hence also Universal title. But again, looking at that, they're really pushing the older talents. Again, like, you look at the top people, Brock Lesnar, The Miz, Roman Reigns. None of these guys are young and promising talent. All these people are, either they've been there a while, they've been there, they've done it. It's like, I gotta ask you, dude, is that a problem that Raw has? And do you think that is something they need to change?
I think Raw definitely needs a bit of change. First of all, they need to fix who the Universal Champion is. You can't have a champion who's there half the time. You can't have a champion holding onto a belt half the time. Well, I should say all the time, but not ever defending it except for big matches. You got to have a guy like Braun Strowman be world champion, which I think WWE is leaning towards in the future. Personally, I'd like to see him as champion.
Definitely, I can agree on that. Although at this point, you're looking at Brock Lesnar. The guy hasn't even been there for months. I mean, he makes a rare appearance on Raw, maybe a couple weeks. For 2 weeks straight now, he's made an appearance on Raw, but hasn't defended the title. He's not in too big a rivalries. He shows up, says a couple things, and then that's it. They don't really push the rivalry too much. The whole thing with him and Goldberg at WrestleMania last year, that was a mess. They should have just never did that to begin with. Goldberg already beat Lesnar, and if they want to make first of all, don't make Lesnar the Universal Champion. Goldberg was the Universal Champion for a month, which I completely agree with. A part-timer should not be champion for a long time if they can't hold up. But they should have given it to Kevin Owens, a full-timer. Or, they should have given it, I don't know, maybe to The Miz at the time. He was a full-timer. You know, but all these part-timers are winning championships and they go away for a while and you don't see them. But again, that's a problem WWE has, specifically the Raw brand. The Raw brand loves part-timers. They love to, you know, make those big matches with those part-timers. Where SmackDown is more of the younger talent and the promising talent. So once again, Jordan, I gotta ask you, is that something that Raw definitely needs to change? They need to stop giving titles to part-timers.
Absolutely. I think it's a total thing. I totally agree with you. You know, I feel as though that if you're going to be part-time, then you shouldn't be holding on to any belt.
Definitely. You know, and don't get me wrong, I love seeing Goldberg come back. Goldberg was an amazing piece of a nostalgia. I loved watching him come back and utterly destroy people. Although I would have had matches longer than 10 seconds each. Or in Kevin Owens' case, I don't know, was it 18 seconds or something ridiculous like that? You know, the dude, you know, he's getting up there with age, but the dude can at least have a 5, 6, 7, even an 8-minute match. And they can make it good. You know, instead of burying Kevin Owens like they did at Fastlane, they could have done something so much better. And I really wish that they did. And I know that at the Royal Rumble, they could have Brock Lesnar destroy Braun Strowman and Kane, which they probably will. Which is why I'm glad the 2 Rumble matches are there, because that's really going to carry the pay-per-view, I think. I don't see the Universal title match being anything special. I see it just being another Lesnar victory. The best Lesnar match, I believe, and you can agree with me or disagree with me, was his match against AJ Styles at Survivor Series. It was back and forth. It was fair. It actually looked like for a minute that Styles was going to win. And for a minute, Brock looked human. He didn't look like a complete unstoppable machine like Raw loves to make him look. So, dude, I gotta ask you. Do you feel that Raw is going to screw up the Universal title match at Royal Rumble? And if so, why? Or if not, why not?
I think at the Royal Rumble, Raw won't screw anything up. Braun Strowman will screw up both Kane and Brock Lesnar. Braun Strowman's going to take that belt away from Lesnar. And if it's not at Royal Rumble, it's going to be later on this year. Mark my words, Braun Strowman, new champion, sooner than later.
And of course, one thing that we will most definitely, odds are, do is a Royal Rumble review. We'll review the pay-per-view. We'll give it a ranking between 1 and 5 stars, of course. But of course, let's take a minute away from Raw and SmackDown comparisons. Let's take a minute to discuss the Royal Rumble. Coming up, it's amazing. The first ever women's Royal Rumble. And they announced that it's going to be 30 women, which I believe the total comes to 18 minus the champions and the women that aren't going to be in the Rumble currently that are on the roster. So that leaves a lot of room for surprise entrants. Jordan, I got to ask you, what are some names you think we might see in the Royal Rumble this year for the women's?
Lita, Trish Stratus, and Gail Cameron is my top 3.
Those are 3 big names I'd love to see. But how about this one? And this one's been one pitched around a lot. Ronda Rousey.
What about Karma?
Karma, that could work too. Ronda Rousey, that would be a big one.
There could be a lot of legends in the ring.
And final question for the Women's Rumble. Who's walking away with the win and the title match at Mania?
I'm going to say Asuka.
Asuka's a good pick.
Yeah. Who do you pick?
Now me, of course, Asuka is definitely a good pick in my mind. Although I'm gonna have to go out and say if she's in it, I'm gonna go with Ronda Rousey. I would love to see Ronda, come to the Rumble and absolutely demolish everybody. A surprise entrant winning the first ever Women's Rumble, it would be amazing. I honestly think I'd like to see Rousey versus Bliss. Or Rousey versus Asuka. That'd be a big match too. Be huge. Anyway, let's go back to the Raw and SmackDown. And of course, we'll come back to the Rumble and discuss the men's eventually, but I want to finish up with Raw and SmackDown this week. So let's finish up with Raw before we move into SmackDown. What are some of the best things that you believe was on Raw this week? What are the top, we'll say the 3 best things that Raw did this week?
Number 3, having The Miz come back. Number 2, Roman Reigns versus Roman Reigns finding out that he will face The Miz in 2 weeks at Raw 25. That was special.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing out of all of them was seeing Braun Strowman bring down that set in the backstage area last night against on Kane and Brock Lesnar.
That was a great moment right there. I think that was one of the highest ranked moments of the year so far. I mean, the year has only just started, but I'm sure that's going to be probably moment of the year right there. That was amazing. That was a great show of strength. Now, since we talked about the top 3, again, you mentioned The Miz. The Miz is definitely a good superstar, But again, going back to that thing, are they pushing him more than they should be? Should they be pushing The Miz, or should they be pushing more younger talent? Like, even I don't even know. I'd even say push Bray Wyatt. I think Bray Wyatt is still fairly young talent in there. He's very unique. He is the future of horror superstars. He went toe-to-toe with The Undertaker at a WrestleMania. Didn't win, but still.
I would say if you're going to push anybody, it's got to be Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is the most weirdest superstar on Monday Night Raw. He's diabolical. He's very scary when it comes to his entrance. He has a very eerie entrance. But you got to push somebody like that. He brings everything that's great to the ring. And ever since he started this alliance with Matt Hardy, it's been nonstop weirdness, I want to say. I don't know that it is a word. But they need to push him. Bray Wyatt is a hell of a wrestler.
I totally agree with you on that. He's a great wrestler. He should get pushed. And I honestly do like what they're doing currently with Matt Hardy as well. The broken gimmick, now known as the woken gimmick for WWE. For time purpose, or for the future reference, or for it's late, so I'm already just losing my mind. But I'll just say this for the future purposes, I'm gonna refer to it as the broken gimmick, being that is what it was originally called, and that's literally what it is, just changed to the woken gimmick. So I like seeing the broken gimmick finally in WWE. It's something people wanted. It's something people thought they were never going to see. But it's great to finally have it. It's great to see Matt Hardy in his prime. Although, I got to be honest with you, and you can give me your honest opinion. Do you think that the broken gimmick would flourish better on SmackDown? And honestly, I think I'd love to see Matt have a WWE title run. So, I got to get your opinion on that.
I think it'll strive wherever it goes. Matt Hardy has a tendency to build his fan base around that. And definitely if he's with Bray Wyatt. I want to see them become an actual tag team. The broken Wyatts, or the broken, the broken gimmicks or something like that. They would be a heck of a tag team, especially tag team champions.
Yeah, definitely, dude. So finally, so we'll finish off Raw and move on to SmackDown. But out of we'll say 5 stars, what would you rank this Raw, and why?
I would rank it solid 5 stars because setup. Great. I mean, it's a pay-per-view match any day.
I totally would agree. But definitely, Raw did flourish this week. It did pretty well. Although, like I said, I might be a little bit more of a harsher judger when it comes to this stuff. So I'll just begin by saying some the good things, and then I'll say some of the bad things that they did, and then I'll give my overall ranking. So pretty much, Raw had a pretty decent episode this week, I believe. They had, like you said, they had that great main event, and they had some good storyline pushes with Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar, and of course The Miz asking for his rematch. Unfortunately, that's really all they had. You know, the other matches didn't really get over. They didn't really push the other storylines, which is one thing WWE is having trouble doing. They're not pushing every storyline. They're just doing the big ones. They're doing the Braun Strowmans, the Brock Lesnars, the Kevin Owens, and the Sami Zayns, but they're not doing the smaller ones like Roman Reigns and The Miz. And, you know, they could capitalize on a Bullet Club stuff, but it just felt like there was really no build to it. And again, I guess you could really blame the third hour on that as well. But again, I'm going to say that this week's Raw, for me, was a 3.5 star. They got to push those. They got to push the smaller talent, and they got to get those storylines set up, and they got to do every storyline. Instead of having a squash match of Samoa Joe and Rhino, you know, we all know how good Samoa Joe is. Build a storyline, you know. Have The Miz attack Roman Reigns, sort of like they did at the end, but, you know, have them get in an argument over something. Have The Miz talk bad about Roman's family, something like that. You know, push the other matches. Make me want to see this match 100%. So that's my opinion on Raw. But what do you say we move on to SmackDown?
Sounds good.
And boy, do we have a lot to say about SmackDown, don't we?
We do.
Where should we even begin? With Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon? Like, this is a storyline I'm getting invested in. And I don't know if they're just building it the right way, but in a way they're building it also the wrong way, because I'm not getting invested in AJ Styles' rivalry with Owens and Zayn. I'm getting more involved with Shane and Daniel. And I don't know, like, overall, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I'm going to say it's a little bit of both. And I'm going to ask you your opinion about that in a second. But again, it's more like, you know, the show kicked off with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. Of course, you know, they say they're on the same page. Clearly they're not. There's a rivalry going on there. So anyway, dude, I got to ask you, is that something that's happening? Is WWE pushing Shane and Daniel so much to the point to where they're not pushing the WWE title rivalry?
You know, I think with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan doesn't understand what kind of miserable things Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn put Shane through. Because how could he? Shane gets in the ring and wrestles. Daniel Bryan doesn't. So Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come in and save each other. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are trying to get in the midst of that, and they're causing chaos in every main event. And you can't do that. You can't do that.
So again, let me ask you: do you think that all this chaos is actually taking away from the main event, you know, storyline rivalry of AJ Styles and Owens and Zayn?
I do. I think it is taken away from each main event. I think no matter who's competing, if somebody keeps getting involved, pretty soon you're not going to be able to stop anybody. I mean, anybody can get involved. Shane McMahon keeps getting involved in these main events. It's not good.
No, it is not. You are correct on that, definitely. So So let's get on to the next part of SmackDown. Clearly Shane and Daniel have a big part in it. And there's clearly something going on there. Now, actually, before we get on to the main part, let me ask you this. Do you think maybe Daniel is jealous that Shane can wrestle and he can't? And that's where that rivalry's coming in?
I always say, I always bring this guy up. I love this guy on SmackDown, Shinsuke Nakamura. Just a great wrestler in their ring.
Shinsuke, great wrestler. I can agree with you on that. I love Nakamura. Very entertaining. But yeah, dude, again, as we were saying, Daniel Bryan, I think, might be jealous of Shane McMahon, and that's why he's starting to, get involved more. Because Shane can wrestle, and maybe it's a jealousy thing, I don't know, but speaking of Shinsuke, let's talk a little bit about him with SmackDown. Do you think that they're ruining him by putting him in the same match really every week with Randy Orton? Do you feel like that actually hurts him, or do you feel like that's a way that they should go with him, or do you feel like they should maybe go more solo with him?
I think they're going the right way with him. I think so. And even with people training him like Randy Orton, it's an awesome thing. It really is.
Definitely. Now, from Shinsuke Nakamura to the WWE Champion, I've asked you if they're pushing Nakamura the right way. Are they pushing Styles the right way, though? I mean, let's look at it. He's the WWE Champion, but he's facing Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, two guys who have not been pushed at all. And, and really the rivalries around, again, Shane and Daniel. Are they really doing the right thing with Styles, or should they, get rid of Owens and Zayn and put Styles in a rivalry with someone bigger?
Dave, can you repeat that question one time?
Yeah. Do you feel that AJ Styles is in the right position, or do you feel like it would be better if WWE scrapped Owens and Zayn and Bryan and McMahon from Styles and instead did a WWE title rivalry of Styles versus a bigger talent?
I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have gotten too many opportunities, and I think they should put AJ versus a bigger talent in that WWE Championship. I mean, just like Shane said on SmackDown last night, he's gotten too many opportunities. These guys should not be in this match, and this shouldn't even be happening. So yes, I think AJ Styles should have a bigger talent for his belt.
I'm with you on that one. Now, let me ask you this. Who should Styles face at Fastlane for that title?
I'm going with Randy Orton.
The Apex Predator versus the Phenomenal. That would definitely be a good one.
Yep.
And, after the Royal Rumble, it is the pay-per-view before WrestleMania. But I'm going to throw you one even better. I would like to see Styles versus The Undertaker.
Totally. That would totally be an awesome match.
I'd like to see Undertaker maybe get one last run before dropping the title at Mania to John Cena.
No, it would be an awesome match. No.
Definitely. That is a match I feel like we need to see. The Undertaker versus Cena, and of course Undertaker versus Styles would also be a good match.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of The Undertaker, we're going to get back to him in a little bit, but I'm going to ask you this one question. Do you feel like they did the right thing last year by doing Reigns versus The Undertaker, or should they have rather done Cena versus The Undertaker last year?
They should have done Cena versus Undertaker last year because Roman Reigns had too many main event opportunities at WrestleMania.
Way too many. And now, let's discuss the rest of SmackDown. The Riot Squad, Ruby Riot, tapped out to Becky Lynch pretty much. Nothing really was done there to benefit anybody. Although, I'm not really involved that much in that rivalry. Mostly I'm involved in the Rumble rivalry going on between all the women, which that I find myself more invested in than the WWE title rivalry. Which again, that comes down to the point. I think SmackDown are really struggling pushing the WWE Championship. It is the main title in the entire WWE. The Universal title will never get close to it. Because like my friend Josh said, the Universal title is about 2 years old. Maybe not even, it's like a year and a half at this point. The WWE Championship is like 25 years old, even older than that. You can't make a title more prestigious than the WWE title and make it, one, ugly as hell, and two, make it so soon and then just say, oh, because this is Raw's title, it's better. No, it's not the way it works. SmackDown has the most prestigious title, and that, in my opinion, makes it the A show, and it just makes Raw the second show. Because Raw does not have the main title. SmackDown does. So let me get your opinion on that, Jordan. What do you think? Is SmackDown the best show because it has the WWE title? Or is it at this point SmackDown's really screwing it up and it's making Raw look like the A show?
It's hard to say. I want to say SmackDown's a better show right now because they have better talent and they have a better WWE champion. AJ Styles is not a part-timer like Brock Lesnar is. AJ Styles competes every week. Brock Lesnar doesn't. So right now I'd say SmackDown. Is the commissioner and is the general manager having problems? Yeah, but is it going to be figured out? Absolutely. So I'm going with SmackDown.
And I can also see myself getting involved in that rivalry between Bryan and McMahon. That's something else too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So overall, let's get a ranking for SmackDown. Out of 5 stars, 1 through 5, what would you rank it?
Right now, I give it 5 stars. I'm 5 stars solid.
Let's see. For me, let me look into it. The matches really didn't have anything to do with it tonight with me. I'm not really emotionally interested in any of the storylines except for the McMahon-Bryan one. But I will say the main event was pretty good. I did enjoy watching a handicap match with all those people. It was giving it the feel of, this is something like you're going to see at Royal Rumble. Although, to be honest with you, nothing too big really got my attention other than, Breezango actually getting a victory. So with that, dude, I gotta go 2 stars. Nothing really too big got me tonight. And with the final question, that brings up which show was better this week? Raw or SmackDown? For me, I gotta go Raw. What about you?
For me, I have to go SmackDown because they brought the drama and can't wait till next week feeling of this is going to be what's going to happen next kind of thing. Raw brought the same thing too, though. How's Brock Lesnar? We're going to find out how he's doing next week, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
And you got Raw 25, which is Luke from Monday.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait for Raw 25. And actually, that's our opinions of which show was better. I say Raw, you say SmackDown. But for all you other wrestling fans out there right now watching this, we'd like to hear what you guys think. Which show was better, the 1/8 Raw or the 1/9 SmackDown? And by 1/8, I mean January 8th. I'm sure you guys pretty much figured that out already. 2018. So again, if you guys are watching this in another year, just letting you guys know. This is for 2018, January 8th and January 9th. But again, let us know which one you guys thought was better. But let's move on. This show has been so far about 35 minutes, We've only talked about Raw and SmackDown. Let's get to the Royal Rumble. Let's move on to the Rumble. 30 superstars, one main event chance. Now, who do you think is going to win the men's Royal Rumble and fight? At this point, I'm going to guess AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
Great question.
We know it won't be Roman Reigns because from the rumors or from the Wrestling Observer's reports, Roman's fighting Lesnar, and that's the end of that. Plus, they have the Elimination Chamber, which means they could probably just do something there too. So we know that Roman ain't winning. So who do you think?
I was going to say, I'm going to have to go with, I'm hoping Cena will win.
That would definitely be something great. Honestly, if Cena wins it, I would like to see The Undertaker be the champion.
Absolutely. For this actually to happen this year, WrestleMania, hopefully Cena versus Taker will be the biggest match in WWE history.
Much bigger than Rock, Cena.
Absolutely. And that was iconic. You think that was iconic? Like the WrestleMania this year, if they actually do what you think they're going to do.
Dude, people are going to buy the pay-per-view just for that match. Even people who don't even know wrestling are going to buy that pay-per-view.
It's legendary. It's legendary.
Something you'll never see again.
Two icons in their respective eras.
Of course, none of them are in their prime. Both are getting older, so it'll be more of a fair match. Although, honestly, dude, for my Royal Rumble pick, I'm going to say Shinsuke Nakamura.
That's a good pick.
I'm going to say for the first time ever, Shinsuke Nakamura is going to win the Rumble and face AJ Styles at WrestleMania in a dream match.
I'm hoping, I would love to see another match between AJ Styles and John Cena.
Not at WrestleMania, though.
No,
The Undertaker. The Undertaker. It's got to be The Undertaker this year. That's something we both agree on. Any other time. But it's got to be The Undertaker.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's probably going to be. Probably right.
Anyway, dude, yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's finally talk about, we've hit about the 40-minute mark. I don't really want to discuss too much about the Chamber or Fastlane just yet. We could probably do that in the next episode, but let's end off on the high note. John Cena versus The Undertaker. It needs to happen this year. It needs to. These guys are both, The Undertaker seems like he can go another match. John Cena's definitely ready to go. It's just Vince McMahon needs to pull the trigger, and honestly, that'd be the smartest decision he makes.
Here's my prediction.
Go ahead.
Cena versus Taker. Cena wins away from the WWE title for a 17th time. Ric Flair comes down, and they shake hands and give each other a hug and say, "Congratulations, man, you deserve it." And that's how WrestleMania ends, with Ric Flair hugging John Cena in the middle of the ring and saying, "You deserve it, buddy."
That's definitely a good prediction. I'm going to give you my prediction now, which is similar, a little bit different. So not only for Cena to win his 17th title from The Undertaker, he would need to first of all win the Royal Rumble, which that alone would also make history. He would tie Stone Cold Steve Austin for most Rumble victories. Only the second person in history to win 3 Rumbles. Then he would beat The Undertaker, winning his 17th title, history. And then, of course, you said Ric Flair could come out. He very well could, but instead of seeing Ric Flair hug Cena to end Mania, I would like to see The Undertaker and Cena hug each other. Clearly The Undertaker will be done after that. John Cena may be done after that, but it'd be great to see them both go out hugging each other. Equal respects. There's no two people in wrestling like John Cena and The Undertaker. The Stone Cold, nope, doesn't compare. Hulk Hogan, doesn't compare. The Rock, doesn't compare. John Cena and The Undertaker are the top two in wrestling.
I agree 100%.
People on the internet can beg to agree or beg to disagree, but those two are without a doubt in my mind, and sounds like even in your mind, they are the top of the WWE, and they will always be there.
I agree, absolutely.
But definitely, dude, finally, my prediction, okay, not really my prediction, but final question to you. If Cena versus Undertaker happens at WrestleMania, and it's not for the championship, if that's what they're actually going to do, who wins it?
If it's not for the title?
Yep.
Undertaker.
You're going Undertaker?
Yep.
That's interesting. Why are you going Undertaker? Gotta ask you.
If it's not for the title, he's going to win one more match. If it's for the belt, Cena's going to win his 17th world title.
Awesome, dude. I like that.
No matter what happens, somebody's retiring. And if you want to make this even bigger, loser leaves WWE.
Yeah. Because one way or another, they're both getting older and they're not going to be there forever.
Exactly.
Anyway.
And CM Punk would say, the spoke on the wheel keeps turning.
Yep.
So,
my prediction is non-title match. I'm going to say John Cena wins, and in the end, him and The Undertaker share a moment. Because
absolutely.
Screw WrestleMania 28 and that end of the era bullshit. This is the real end of an era.
Absolutely.
I don't know what the hell that was about. End of an era. First of all, no, it's not the end of an era. Undertaker's still wrestling. Triple H was still wrestling. What is this end of the era bullshit?
I don't know. I have no idea what that was about because Triple H never went away. Undertaker never went away, as you said. Shawn Michaels was still around. I don't know.
The only thing that happened was just somebody won a match, and the streak continued. Nothing changed. So, this would be a real end of an era, I think. The Undertaker, whether win or loss, would probably retire after that. And then that would be the end of the Phenom. And, of course, we would never forget the career of The Undertaker. Absolutely.
Nobody will never forget the career of The Undertaker. Nobody.
I can't believe it, dude. It's so close to happening, and we might actually get it this year. Anyway, Jordan, we've been going for about 45 minutes. What do you say we wrap this one up?
Sounds good. Let's wrap.
Alright, guys. We'd like to thank you all for watching this first episode, and we hope you have enjoyed it. Let us know down in the comments your thoughts on John Cena versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 34. If it's going to happen, how they should book it properly, if it'll start at Raw 25, and who do you guys think will win the biggest match in history?
And make sure you hit like and subscribe to our video. Please like our videos, and we will certainly do more coming up in the future.
Indeed. And definitely, if you guys want a Royal Rumble review, or pretty much any other pay-per-view review for that matter, show your support by commenting pay-per-view reviews. And we'll be sure to do those as well. Anyway, guys, until next time, my name's been John.
And my name's Jordan, and thank you for joining us on the very first episode of the Wrestling Brothers exclusively on YouTube.com.
Peace out, everybody.